Listen, let's talk about yesterday. This is a huge day, and I know that it was a big day for you because of everything that was going on in New York. But it wasn't lost on me that when you're in New York having these conversations about what you called the most exciting opportunity of your life to Justin Barrasso earlier in the week, it was also the exact 30-year anniversary of the debut of Monday Nitro. How wild is that, dude?
I didn't even realize it till you texted me. I went, oh, wow, that's right. And when I said to you earlier, I look at this opportunity as a blessing. There are so many reasons why I'm convinced that it is. And they're all little things like that. It's just, I told this to Lori about a month ago. It's like everything I've ever done in my life has led me to this opportunity, to be ready for the preparation on a personal level, on a physical level. I've been working out pretty hard for about a year. I'm really grateful for that because I can keep up with 30-year-old people. In fact, I can work most of them into the dirt, except for Chad and Izzy. Those two guys go. But just everything I've done, all the experiences, good and bad, all led me to this moment and opportunity. And the fact that yesterday, while I'm sitting in a meeting that I didn't even know was going to happen last week with the head of the network and our television partner talking about our future in such a positive way, that others call that irony, I just call it a nod. Just supposed to happen. That's how I feel about it. It is supposed to happen.
I mean, let's not forget how was the whole idea for Nitro born? I mean, I know you've told us the story a million times, but give us the Cliff Notes version again, like how Nitro was created.
Out of fear, I went to a meeting with Ted Turner to talk about international distribution in China and an opportunity to do a major deal with Star Television, which was owned by Rupert Murdoch at the time, probably still is. Rupert and Ted were like, yeah, this all the time. So I had to go ask for permission because, I couldn't just go do that deal without risk of ramifications from Ted because it was very personal. The competition between Ted and Rupert Murdoch was very real and very personal. So I prepped for that meeting like a good boy should, and went to that meeting to pitch my ass off. And 30 seconds in, I got, what's it going to take to be competitive? The rest of the story. I walked out of that meeting kind of numb and somewhat overwhelmed. That's mild. Got to my office, locked myself in a room, and said, "Okay, now what? You didn't ask for this, you didn't vote for this, but you're going to do this, and you're either going to succeed or fail." So I locked myself in a room and said, "Okay, how can I do it? I can't beat the WWE. They're too good at what they do. If I go compete with their model against them, I'm going to get killed eventually, sooner than later, probably." I didn't want to be a distant number two because we'd already been that. I had to be competitive. And I thought the best way to do it would be to be as different as the WWE as possible, starting with they're live, then they're taped, then they're live, then they're taped. Screw it, I'm going to go live every single week. Because I knew back then, live television always performs better than tape television. It just is what it is. So, okay, I'm going to go live. They're focused on teens and preteens. I can't beat them at that. I'm not even going to try to beat them at that, but they're ignoring 18 to 49-year-old men. So I'm going to shift the presentation of my programming to appeal to 18 to 49-year-olds more than what we'd been currently doing, which is imitating WWE's teen and preteen architecture. I'm going to shift that architecture from teen and preteen over to 18 to 49. I'm going to go live. Oh, and I'm going to throw some reality-based storylines in there, let wrestlers use their real names, take real-life situations and blow them up into fiction. All of that was my goal, to attract that 18 to 49-year-old audience. That's how Nitro became Nitro.
It's fascinating to me, just the thinking of, because I think a lot of people would say, "Hey, I want to avoid competition." What was it do you think about Ted that made him say, "No, let's go right into it. Let's go heads up with them"? I ask because sometimes we've heard, like, there'll be a Home Depot and then right next to it they'll build a Lowe's, or there's a gas station and they'll build another one right across the street. And I know there's a lot of theories about that, but I'm sure Ted had one of his own, right?
I don't know what his theory was. I didn't question him. I just left the room and went, oh man, what am I going to do now? But look, if you go back and you look at Ted Turner's history as a businessman, he took big risks. Ted was the last of the real entrepreneurs in television, right? One of the last. Certainly, Rupert Murdoch and the Murdoch family are right there too. But Ted was a visionary. Ted was a competitor. Above all else, as brilliant as Ted was really like, in my opinion, at least, he was like the media version of Elon Musk. He saw things that other people didn't see. He believed things could be achieved that most people would not even spend time talking about. And he took big risks. But I think, Ted always believed, based on what I've read, not in the conversation with Ted, but what I've read about Ted in his biographies, for example, is that he believed in the loyalty of the wrestling audience. He knew that audience would always be there, and that he could use that audience to promote other programming too. So it was an anchor audience that Ted knew that he could depend on, and it didn't cost him as much as buying movie libraries and syndicating shows and things like that. And you could own it. And Ted believed strongly in owning. Look, Ted's vision was create the content, own that, own the distribution of the content, and own the library that you're building with it. And wrestling provided a perfect opportunity for that. Now, in terms of going head to head, I think that's just the competitive nature of Ted. Ted liked to fight. Ted was very confrontational. He was strategic, and he believed in great. He was a student of great battles in history. He understood the art of war as it applies to business. And I think that was probably just his instinct, because it was such a strong part of who Ted Turner was.
I want to ask you about that first Nitro. We know that it happened in the Mall of America, and I know we've touched on this before, but why the Mall of America? Why did you think that was necessary, and why that date? As a reminder, September 4th, I believe, was a holiday, and I think Raw was preempted. Was that the rationale? You knew they wouldn't be on, so you wanted to give them a chance to sample your wares? And if that's how you land on the date, how do you land on the location of the Mall of America?
Absolutely the reason for the date, because we could have picked any date we wanted to, but knowing that WWF Monday Night Raw at that time, I think it was preempted for the dog show.
That's right.
Might have been another show, but it was a special on USA. It was advertised, we knew, a year in advance or whatever. So it was like, wow, if there's an opportunity to get their audience to sample our show, it's on that night. And that's all we were hoping for, just sample us. It's the best you can hope for. Didn't expect to be, to break any records, but we did. And the audience did sample us. And we were competitive from that point forward. A lot of people go, oh, Nitro only got hot because of the NWO. You're an idiot. If you go back and you look at the ratings for Nitro from day one all the way up into July of 96, we'd win 2, they'd win 2. We'd win 1, they'd win 2. We'd win 3, they'd win 1. We'd win 1, they'd win 1. There was a lot of back and forth, but we were competitive immediately in a head-to-head environment. Now, clearly in 96, with the NWO and all the drama and the interest that created, then we just walked away with it. But we were competitive from the very, very beginning. And I'm kind of proud of that. And I think the September 4th show set the tone. It was like, okay, here we are, and here's how we're going to be different than what you're used to, because we believe in surprises. We don't believe that we have to promote every single freaking thing you're doing, because by the time it gets there, the audience has already made up their mind whether they like it or not. Let's create a must-see TV environment and psychology by doing big things that we don't tell them about in advance, because that creates the sense in the viewer that, well, I can't afford to miss the show because they're going to pull some rabbit out of their hat. I don't want to miss that. That was the psychology in developing the format that became Nitro, is to create as many of those moments that subconsciously could communicate to the viewer that, look, this is live TV and we do some crazy shit here that you're not going to expect. So number one, don't leave. And number two, don't miss it, whatever you do. And it worked.
Want to give a shout out. We've got people in the live chat right now watching from Turkey and from Portugal. We got an international flair on this Friday afternoon. Thank you for being here with us. Keep those questions coming. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell. You don't want to miss us the next time we're live. SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com. SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.